Hi, everybody. This is Silvio Canto in Dallas, Texas on Wednesday, July the 22nd. And as we like to do once a week, we'll be chatting with our good friend Bill Katz, the editor of Urgent Agenda. Bill, welcome. And would it be fair to say that you fell in love with the World Cup just like you loved the Brooklyn Dodgers?
Well, not quite in that category. I mean, well, I actually lived in Brooklyn,
Right.
and I've never lived in a place called the world.
Right.
So,
So you didn't quite see the same passion in these games. That wasn't like Jackie stealing second or whatever. It wasn't quite like that, right?
not quite, but I have to tell you that the sudden love for soccer was quite remarkable in New York City. I mean, they had rallies and they had extensive television coverage, and I've never seen that for soccer before because soccer has never really caught on as
Right.
a fan game, but in New York, absolutely. It was not, didn't last very long, and I think is now back to normal, where what you do, you go to New York City, and what you expect to do is be robbed. So, well, I guess it's still the game, still the same game.
Right.
It's,
Well, I thought it was a wonderful tournament for the United States,
yes,
for the country. I think the country benefited from all the good publicity. When you think of, from a security standpoint, what a great job was done. When you think of all the games that were being played here, that nothing happened, not even a naked fan jumped on the field. So I, so, so I think it was good in that sense. But as far as, I mean, they had quite a few games in Texas because we had games in the Dallas area and the Houston area.
well, I think
And
it was a terrific idea to spread the games around the country.
right,
Great
right,
idea, and it did do a great deal for soccer as a sport, even if it only lasted 4 or 5 days.
right. Well, the
Mhm.
one thing that it did is that it made international heroes out of two Texas landmarks. The first one is Whataburger, the place that sells burgers.
Yes.
That everybody, I guess everybody from Europe just loved the double cheeseburger at Whataburger. So they did a great job. I mean, I guess they don't sell them like that over there with the French fries, as they like to say.
Yeah.
They really liked it. And the other one was Bucky's,
Yes.
which is a little, actually a highway stop, truck stop originally, and it's become a really nice place for people to stop all over the highways. And the reason so many people like Bucky's around here, particularly the women, is because the bathrooms are spot clean.
Mm.
So I mean, you cannot always say that about all the bathrooms on the highways.
No, not at all.
Certainly, from a woman's perspective, which is different than a man's perspective about the bathroom. The clearly the bathrooms were spot clean, but for the visitors, we had Germany and Australia playing here, and they just loved it. They thought the other thing they loved, Bill, and again, I'm just going on interviews on TV. The other thing they loved was how big our when you buy food in the United States, how big the plate is. You know,
Yes.
it's that the burgers are not just big; they're huge, and they thought that was cool.
I'm glad they did. Look, we had really an international spot in soccer for the first time in many years. I enjoyed it for the time that it lasted. Um, I would. You mentioned the different places that benefited. I think that the idea of holding different games in different cities was a great idea.
Right. It was, and I have to tell you that it seemed like every young woman in the world who was looking for a modeling contract
Yes.
was somehow watching the game because they all of these beautiful women from all over the world somehow got to the games, and they had different T-shirts, I guess, for their home team, and it was like the whole world not only met the players from the other teams, but all these beautiful fans who must have been looking for a modeling contract of some type because
Right.
they were just absolutely beautiful. By the way, I just noticed on the screen, Bill, that our temperature is 103
Oh,
in North Texas. So
that is painful.
yeah, that is, and that's why I think that's why the Europeans were so happy, because both in Houston and in the Dallas area, they were playing in stadiums with a roof,
Yes.
and they didn't have to endure that. Imagine playing soccer like right now, 102. You can't do it. I mean,
No.
well, the players can do it because they're fit, but the poor fans, I mean, I don't know that they could survive heat like that
Well,
in a stadium.
yeah. Well, when the final was played, which was right here in New Jersey, which is a state near New York, that we sometimes recognize.
Connected by a tunnel, right?
Yeah, by yes, by well, and some tunnels we may not know about. Uh, but the president came, and the stadium did not have a sunroof. I mean, it was an open
Ooh.
stadium. They had, but the president was in the box,
Right,
and
yeah,
and they had that was apparently all taken care of in terms of climate.
right,
But I've never seen so much attention given to New Jersey.
right.
Yeah.
Well, New Jersey, where the Garden State, right? That's what they call it. I see that on the license plates, the Garden
Yeah,
State.
for some reason, I have no idea. I never noticed in going through New Jersey any particular gardens that I want to
No,
swing
no,
at.
not usually. I haven't seen too many either, unless you get really far into New Jersey, more into Pennsylvania, then there might be some
Yes,
gardens. But yeah, New Jersey itself, you're right. I haven't seen, although I think the highway, the tollway through New Jersey is called
Route 95.
Route 95, but part of
Yes,
it is called the Garden State Tollway or something, I
Garden
think.
State Parkway.
Parkway, yeah, I
Yes,
remember that from actually traveling on that particular road. But yes, I mean, I thought the U.S. had well, the team didn't do well, but the country did very well. I
yes,
just hope, Bill. The only thing I'm hoping, I have not seen numbers yet. Well, the attendance was amazing, and the television audiences were amazing. But what I have not seen is, after all the security, how much money the actual cities are going to make.
mm,
I haven't seen those numbers because that was always the reason that, a lot of countries do not want the World Cup
yes.
because they simply do not have the resources to handle the security.
That's right.
Yeah.
It takes to handle the World Cup. I mean, it takes enormous amount of money for police forces, for everything else that's required. Yes, you're absolutely correct. But
Uh,
we liked it for a few days.
yeah, it was a lot of fun. It was actually great for everybody for a couple of days, but now I guess we get back to the normal stuff, baseball and the beginning of the NFL season. But I think it was a good idea that we had it, and I think it's coming back, I believe, in 2034. But how bad, just out of curiosity, how bad was the air? Because I mean, the air from that smoke coming from Ontario, I guess, did that affect New York too much?
Yes, yes, it did. It did. The smoke came down, and people were warned. Don't go outside
Hmm.
during this period because the air is so bad coming down from Canada, and people were warned to wear masks, the old medical masks, and they did.
Yeah, I know. That's what they were saying, that the air was really bad. And in fact, President Trump even got angry with the Canadians, said he was going to put a tariff. And then the Prime Minister of Canada said that it was because Trump had canceled the Paris climate change accords, which was, I mean, that was a pretty silly response, I have to
Yes.
say. But they do have that problem up there. I don't know why. By the way, we just got a note here from one of our good listeners, one of our favorite listeners, who said, my Aunt Lou lived in Baskin Ridge, New Jersey, and had a lovely garden. So you missed that one, Bill. You
Well,
missed.
we will praise Auntie and her garden.
That's right. I mean, beautiful garden to say the least. But I don't know why they have that problem up there so much. These forests. I don't know what they're doing up there. Honestly, I don't want to be critical, but at the
And,
same time, it seems
well,
to happen a lot up there.
Yes, Canada has a lot of wildfires, and one reason being is that they have all these restrictions up there based on love of the planet.
Okay.
And it's fine if you want to if you want wildfires all the time, but if you don't like wildfires, the planet isn't going to mean too much to you in Canada.
No, and if they love I wish they would love people
Yeah.
who suffer from this smoke as much as they love
Yes.
the planet. Because we didn't get any of it here, but I understand just again from reading the news that it really hit Michigan very badly.
Very badly, yes,
Yeah.
and Michigan has problems all the time involving fires and
Right.
stuff from Canada, and nowadays they're having problems with their political operations because they have a couple of real nuts running in the Democratic Party.
Right. Yes, they have one that for the Senate, right? He's
Yes.
really a real character. Well, speaking of characters, Bill, I wanted to get your reaction to Mayor Mamdani. He was going to indict the Prime Minister of Israel and said he was going to check with the legal department to see what they told him. I guess the legal department came back and said, no, you don't have the legal authority to indict the Prime Minister of Israel. I wish they had told him, Bill, Mr. Mayor, you cannot indict the Prime Minister of Israel, but you can indict people in New York City who are committing crimes.
Yes, he didn't like that answer,
No.
because in parts of New York City where he is popular, a criminal is not really a criminal. It is somebody who has been mishandled by society.
Right.
Yes.
That's right. But in a way, he got what he wanted, didn't he? In the
Well,
sense
he got
that he wanted the publicity.
Yes.
And changed the conversation, I would think.
Well, he'd better change the conversation fast because
Yes.
I think the people of New York are beginning to get a little tired of him.
Yes, I think so. I think all that money leaving is what's really I mean, I hear about businesses. Well, this time is not so much business as it is people with money.
Yes.
Who are
Yes.
simply saying, this is insane. Let me go somewhere else.
Well, that's it. I mean, if you were a multimillionaire, you'd hardly want to live in a city which is against multimillionaires and would like to put you in prison. I mean, that's not a good feeling. It's not a
No,
good
it's
feeling
not.
at all.
It's not a good way to attract new ones.
No.
I mean, because every city, every state, you need more of these millionaires. But let me talk about New Jersey for a minute, because something very interesting happened in New Jersey the last couple of days. Sometimes I think President Trump is the luckiest man on earth because he gives a speech on Thursday talking about that our elections are not run very well. And a couple of days later, the governor of New Jersey in a press conference says, by the way, we registered 6,600 people in New Jersey who were, I guess, not here legally, whatever they want to call them.
Right.
And, we found out that there's 6,600 people in our rolls who shouldn't be there. And, well, isn't that what the president was talking about?
That's exactly right. Well, look, anything that comes out of New Jersey about politics is likely to be illegal. I mean, they should even have a way in which they can be arrested before they even reach the state, to make it easy on everybody.
Yeah, but I just thought it was kind of interesting because how they got registered, I think, is the problem. They used a driver's license
Mm-hmm.
to register people. So if you have a driver's license, which in some states you can get without proving that you're here legally,
Yeah.
then you can register to vote. I mean, to me, one of the reasons I've always been opposed to handing or giving people who are not here legally a driver's license is exactly that you're creating basically a potential for voter fraud.
Of course. That's the whole purpose of it.
Yeah. Well, here's my prediction, Bill. If they if they found 6,600 in New Jersey, and I guess that's only so far, there may be more. How many do you think they'll find in California?
None.
Well, that's what Gavin Newsom said. There's
Yes,
nobody there,
there's
right?
nobody there.
Nobody there, right? Yeah, that's pretty crazy. Well, I think the mayor did get what he wanted, though. He got the publicity, and he can get all his disciples to talk about how terrible the prime minister for Israel is, and I guess that's what he wanted, Bill.
Well, he got the publicity for his quote his people,
Right?
and didn't do them a bit of good.
No, not at all. Not at all. Okay, well, let's get to Iran. That's our primary topic this week. Iran is, I mean, I guess I heard an analogy an interesting analogy about what's going on. Somebody said Trump took the team to the 20-yard line and then stopped to give negotiations a chance.
Yes,
but now it's time to go in and score.
that's right.
And I feel that after 40 years of talking to these people, it's time to get this over with.
That's
I really
exactly
feel
right.
that way. And I think that, I thought it was noble for President Trump to give negotiations a chance. I thought that was very noble. But I think it's over now. We got to go in and just do whatever we got to do.
Well, every time we give them a chance, they cheat and lie, and then ask for another chance. And if you don't give them the other chance, they say you're being unfair to us. I mean, the negotiators for Iran are from an old tradition of negotiating from positions of dishonesty. That no matter what they agree to, they're gonna go back on it, and lie about it, demand more. It's these are people who historically come from terrific negotiators, people who get their way by stalling, by delaying, by making deals that they have no intention of keeping. And we should have been more sensitive to that when we went into this enterprise and realized that nothing they agree to will be kept.
Right. Well, I think we're almost there now.
Yeah.
And I think that the plans are probably on the table. And the only thing lacking is the final order. And I think we're almost there. Now, I give credit to President Trump and negotiation in this respect. I think he must have felt, and maybe the people negotiating for him felt the same way, that there were people on the other side who honestly wanted to negotiate, who
Yes.
honestly wanted to get this thing behind us. Because there's got to be moderate people in Iran who look at this and go, we have to change.
Yes.
We can't, I mean, this country cannot continue being what it's been, just obsessed with Israel, financing terrorism. At some point, we got to say, okay.
And attacking all of their neighbors.
Well, that too,
Yes.
and financing all these groups, attacking ships and all of that. I mean, at some point, you have to think that the neighbors are looking at this and saying, come on, our neighbor has to change. And so maybe that's the one thing going for us right now that we didn't have before, Bill. I don't know.
Well, I think the issue, I think more than anything else that changed things was, of course, the accession of President Trump to the American presidency, and he is not like other presidents, and that is something that we have to say right from the beginning. He had the courage to take on a job that no other president was interested in. They kept on kicking the can down the road, but in his case, he lived through that period where we really believed that Iran was about to be in a position to use an atomic bomb. Now, that doesn't mean that they wanted to in that position at that point, but they were getting close to the point where they could do it. And not only could they do it, they were getting close to the point where they could launch missiles at Europe and get away with it.
Right.
So, I think he made a very persuasive argument that this was the time to strike them, because if we didn't and they had that bomb, they would use it.
Oh, North Korea.
Yes,
I mean, that's all you have to
absolutely.
do is mention
Sure.
North Korea. That's the best example of this. Look
Exactly.
at
I
North
think you're
Korea.
right. I think you're right.
I mean, North Korea without the bomb would be a poor country where people are starving. Uh,
Exactly.
Now they're a poor country that people are starving, but at least they have a bomb.
They have the bomb, and they have the willingness, I think, at least theoretically, to use it if it is necessary.
Right. So that everything changes when the other guy has a bomb.
Oh, sure.
Everything changes. Everything about the relationship changes because then you have to run the risk if you attack them that they use it, and you probably win, but at a cost that
A
would be
ghastly
pretty high.
cost. A
Yeah, I
ghastly
guess so.
cost. And
So
I
you have
think I think they also the enemy, which is Iran, looked very closely at our internal politics and realized this might be an era where they could get ahead because one of our two political parties has become disgraceful and almost in some cases anti-American, really,
right.
in their policies, and that they could use that for their advantage.
Well, they've become so anti-Trump that they're, I mean, just ridiculous. We saw some of that in that hearing, or whatever they call it, in the Senate, where
Yes,
they all they do is talk about Trump,
that's right.
and so after a while, you go, "Come on, are you telling me that you are willing to put up with a nuke? Because that's really the choice. You have a nuclear Iran or you don't." And if you don't, well, you got to make some painful decisions to get there,
Yes, that's
which is what Trump is doing.
yes, he is making painful decisions, but he understands that it would be much more painful if
Oh
he did
gosh,
not take the action. And I think
right.
that's something that, that he has not been able to get that point across to the American people for whatever reason, whether it's his own failures as a presenter or whether it's Americans just aren't interested and don't care, which is
Well,
quite possible.
he does. Well, that could be, but there's something. For example, if you compare how President Bush went to the country and sold the idea of Iraq. Now,
Hmm.
granted that 9/11 had happened,
Yes.
and that changed things a bit. But President Bush spent, however it came out, I don't want to go there now, but at least to explain to the American people why we were doing this, President Bush literally spent almost a year going out and giving speeches, and
Yes.
so did Vice President Cheney, and so did the Secretary of State, and so did other members of, I mean, other high-ranking Senate members, Republican senators, that is. So it seemed like there was a team going around and explaining why this was important. And that is the one thing that's lacking here.
Hmm.
That there, I mean, well, I know Secretary Rubio has been doing it, but he can only do so many things.
Yes.
So that's the one criticism I have of how they've sold this.
Yes.
That maybe they haven't had enough bodies on the ground, if I could put it that way, going around explaining to people why this matters.
Yes, and putting it in very human terms that
Yeah,
what we are doing is protecting the lives of your children and your grandchildren.
right.
And I fully agree that the White House speech policies, their argument policies, fell short,
Yes.
and they the president should have been out there saying, look at your children tonight, and imagine if a country like Iran had an atomic bomb and is willing to use it on your children, what your reaction would be. And he could have done that,
Yeah.
but he decided not to, and it was a poor choice.
Yes, and again, I don't know why, but you're right. I think he's very effective when he does that. I think when he goes out on the road like that, I think he would have been very effective doing it, especially at these rallies that he has.
Yes.
And he didn't do it for whatever reason. He didn't do it, and I think it was a mistake in retrospect. But here we are, wherever we are, and I think it's time to finish it. And I think it's time to say, okay, that's it. We've talked enough. Call me back if you want to negotiate, but if you don't, I'm just bombing the heck out of you.
Well, but he's basically, yes, I agree with the way you presented that. That is exactly the position he's taking. And he's saying, look, it's really up to you. We are ready to make an agreement that is generous, that will be helpful to the nation of Iran and to its people. And all you have to do is say yes. But if
Right.
you don't say yes and say no, we will feel, and for good reason, that you are not interested in an honest agreement with the United States, and we will have to take our own action to
Right.
protect our own children.
Right. No, you're right. I think that's what he should. I think he's done that. I mean, I think he said, "Here's my phone number, 24/7. You can reach me anytime, and we'll talk. But it's got to be serious talk." Now, I'll say one thing though, Bill, and I'm not defending the leadership in Iran, but this is just a gut feeling that I have that there are people, and I think I mentioned this before. I think there are people in that government who do want to make the deal
Yeah.
because they look around and they go, my gosh, not only are we losing this country, not only are we going to lose a lot of bridges and industrial, military, and industrial sites, but we're losing out to the rest of the Middle East. I mean, look at
Yes.
these countries doing, they're setting up arrangements with Israel, commercial arrangements with Israel. I mean, Saudi Arabia, these other countries, they're actually prospering by doing business. And
Yes.
Iran is sitting there worried about overthrowing Israel.
Well, that's it. And another thing that is basic is there have got to be some people who are members of the Iranian regime who want to live.
Right.
They don't want to die, and they don't want their
No,
children to die.
no. And I'm afraid that's what's going to happen
Yes.
because I do think we're going to be bombing a lot of bridges and a lot of industrial locations, and it's going to get ugly. So that's why I give President Bush credit for, I mean, President Trump, excuse me,
Yeah.
President Trump credit for wanting to negotiate. But at some point, you got to say, okay, guys, it's over.
Well, yes. Well, I
And
think he
call me if
wanted
you want to do something.
I think he wanted also that image of somebody
Right.
who was ready to, in effect, sue for peace. But he and now has found out, and I think correctly so, that the Iranian regime is run by people who are willing to give up their themselves, their lives, their families' lives, and they may not be all of the regime, but enough to make a difference.
Right. Enough to create the problems they have.
Sure.
No, I do expect that he's ready to go in. Exactly how, I'm not obviously up to speed on that. But I do think that there are some big military there will be, I should say, there will be some big military happenings over the next 7 days or
I
so.
think
Before
I
we
think you're right, and that we're. It's also been pointed out that we're sending more and more combat planes to the Middle East as this period goes on, and they are not being sent just to practice.
no, no, they have they have better places to practice or to vacation than parked in front of Iran. Yeah, that's true. Bill, one last topic as we kind of wrap up, but one last topic is what what is happening with the Democrats, and we've talked about this before. What a crazy party they turned into. But if you look at polling data, and there have been articles about this, this fellow Ron Brownstein, is it, or Brownstein? He writes for the LA Times. I think, or wrote.
Yes.
He wrote, I think, for the LA Times. I think he's
At
on
one
his
time, yeah, he's a very well respected
yes,
political commentator.
right, yes, LA Times, and then he was also a lot on TV. I remember
Yes.
when David Brinkley had his show on that morning show on Sundays, that he would often be one of the journalists who would be
Mhm.
there for the round table. And he says basically that if you look at the data, all the data would suggest that it's going to be a huge blue wave, but yet it's not really a blue wave. And I think what's happening is that people are looking at this and they're saying, yeah, we don't like Trump. We don't like the price of gasoline. We don't like this or that. We don't like the way he talks. We don't like the way he talk. I mean, the usual stuff.
Yeah.
But then when they look at the other side, they go, my gosh, you know, we don't like
Yes.
that either.
Yes, what they're offering us is something that comes from a foreign country, and not a friendly one.
No, yeah. So they're sitting there saying, you know what, I'll keep, there's, there's an expression in Spanish that I remember my parents used to say that your old shoe sometimes looks good when no your old, something like your older shoes may not be perfect, but at least they fit right, or something
Exactly
like
right.
that is the expression. And I think that's kind of how it looks here, because there's nothing. I mean, I watched the other side, and I've been watching, for example, I specifically look for Democrat. I mean, I specifically tune in when they're talking about Iran and they're interviewing Democrats. There's nobody serious on that side of the aisle.
No, there isn't, and that's one of the tragedies of this. We don't have that traditional patriotism where the opposition party says we're at war. Tell us what you need. We'll help you. I
Right.
mean, that was a standard position, but we don't have that today, and we have a Democratic Party that is essentially in its on its own deathbed. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
they're killing themselves. I don't think it has very long to go. I would say one more. If people could come up with a cogent idea for a third party, a center left party, I think they could destroy the Democratic Party
Right.
rather quickly.
I remember, Bill, during the Iraq War debate, during the War on Terror debate, that there were Democrats like Joe Lieberman, like that senator from Washington, Scoop Jackson, I think it was.
Yes, Scoop Jackson,
Um,
Mister
and
Mister Mister Boeing,
right, yeah, that they were, that other senator from New Jersey who was a basketball player. I'm trying to remember.
Bradley.
Right. That you would watch him on TV talking about foreign policy, and you would go, you're a good man. I mean, I'll listen to you.
Yeah.
But that's not what you're getting now. What you're getting now is Trump is terrible, and I'm going to tell you how terrible he is because I'm scared to death of a primary.
He is. I am, and yes, he's got to go. He's got to go
Right. He's got to
immediately.
go.
Not even at the end of his term. He must go immediately because democracy is in danger.
Right. Yeah. I think if you and I had a quarter for every time they've told us that democracy is in danger, we buy an island. Because it is absolutely ridiculous. I mean, this idea that Trump is going to cancel the election. I'm sure you heard that one.
Oh, of course, yes. Oh, but people really believe it.
Yeah.
They believe that he is going to come in and cancel the election, make it impossible for people to go to the polls, and say we have a national emergency and I'm declaring it.
Right.
They really believe this is going to happen.
It's crazy because I tell people it didn't happen in the Civil War. And I think Lincoln probably had a better reason for canceling those elections.
Yes.
Or even FDR, I mean, in the height of World War II or whatever. But
Well,
it's never happened.
yeah,
We've never
no.
canceled an election in the United States.
No, and I don't think we're about to. I really
No.
don't. We have too many. We have a lot of barriers to canceling elections, including the Electoral College and some of the other some of the other devices that were put into the Constitution to make sure we had elections.
Right. And I somebody was debating this with me about canceling the election. And I said, oh, I see. He's going to cancel the election for governor of Texas.
Yes.
I mean, you can't just cancel one election. It's got to be all of them, right?
Well, of course, yes. Look, the people on the Democratic side, the very extreme people on the Democratic side, and they are a lot more of them than we hoped for, do have plans like this. They came out this week with a plan not for the Democratic Party but for the Social Democrats, who now control a good part of the Democratic Party, and they were pretty frightening. I mean, it's
well, they want to cancel the Senate, right?
They want to end the Senate because they don't think they don't think it's democratic.
Well, that was the
Uh,
idea, though, wasn't it?
yes,
Right.
yes, they want to cancel the Senate. They want to cancel the Supreme Court. They want to do pretty much everything that any enemy of this country would want to do.
Right. There was a joke the other day. Somebody was saying that Trump should jump on the idea of expanding the Supreme Court. And he should actually say, okay, well, that's a great idea. Let me put 6 more conservative justices in the Supreme Court. And we can get that through the Senate since we have the votes. So we'll do that. I'll do that. I'll take him up on that.
Yeah.
Imagine Trump doing that, how quickly they would be saying that he wants to end democracy.
Yes, he wants to be a dictator. Everybody knows that. He wants to be a dictator and not only be a dictator here, but a dictator in other countries as well.
Right. Yeah, he wants. I don't know what these people are going to do when Trump actually retires, which I'm pretty sure he will do.
Oh, I think they're going to try to arrest him. I think they really are going to try to go after him.
Yes. Well, they almost did in New York.
Yes.
Which is pretty frightening. Well, Bill, I'm sorry that you don't have World Cup games to watch anymore.
Well, we do have primaries, and I think I say this with some trepidation. I think we're going to have plenty to watch in the next 2 weeks of a military type.
Yes, on that I agree with you. And there are primaries in different places, and I'm sure that there will be a few more of Mamdani's friends who are going to be celebrating. And it's funny because somebody was saying if you watch one of these national or Democrat socialists at their campaign party, it's all white people.
Of course. It isn't the downtrodden. It's
all these 20-something rich kids.
Yeah, that's exactly
I guess
right.
their father said no more subsidy, go out and get a real job.
Yeah.
And they want to now they want to be supported.
Exactly. It's a very, very strange political world we are in, and I think it's going to be very tense, as we've just said, in the next couple of weeks.
I think you're exactly right, and that's why I hope to have you back next week so you can tell me how you're dealing with World Cup withdrawal.
I'll put that first on the list.
Yes, you have to. So let's see, what can you do? Maybe you can buy yourself a computer game to play soccer.
Yes.
Or maybe you and your wife can have a soccer ball in the house, and you can tell her to stand on one side because you're going to kick a goal.
That's exactly right. That's it. We'll make up our own rules, and we'll live in our own basement.
Yes, and you can play. You can make sure that you've got soccer for another week.
Okay, I'll buy it.
All right, Bill. Have a great week, and thank you for your time as always.
My pleasure, and I'll be talking to you soon again.
We'll talk again next week. Thank you so much. Our good friend Bill Katz, the editor of Urgent Agenda. I always love talking with him once a week and just seeing what we call the Week in Review and just talk about lots of issues. Obviously, the World Cup. I don't know. I personally don't miss it. But I know a lot. I don't say that in a negative way. I think it was a great event, and I'm delighted that it happened, and I'm really happy that it worked out so well for the United States, meaning Buc-ee's and Whataburger and stuff like that. Sausage, that was the other thing they loved. American sausage, barbecue sausage. They loved that, apparently, when they came here to Texas. So I'm delighted for that. But the game itself, I have to confess, it's very difficult for me to understand. And if you're a soccer fan, I'm not saying it's a bad game. I'm just saying that I have a hard time understanding what is a foul and what is not a foul. So maybe if you can send me an email with the name of a book that teaches me about it, I'll be happy to read it. But for me, it's really hard to keep up with it. But other than that, again, it was a wonderful event, and I'm delighted for Spain for winning. The tournament, my grandfather was from Spain on my mother's side, and my great grandparents were from Spain. I mean, look, I have great parents. My grandparents and great grandparents are all from Spain, so I should have been cheering for Spain for that reason, which I was kind of. But anyway, the food from Argentina is really good, And that's one of the reasons, I guess, that I wanted to see Argentina do well. Plus, Messi is such a great player that you want to see him retire with a victory, which I think this was probably his last World Cup. But thank you for listening. This is Silvio Canto in Dallas. Enjoy this heat, 103, and we'll talk to you the next time. Bye-bye, everybody.